So Medicines for Malaria Venture is a Swiss-based non-for-profit that's in Geneva. We're a public-private partnership. That means we work with the public health bodies and with the pharmaceutical industry to discover, develop and deliver new anti-malarials. So at the moment we have one product that's out there with Novartis. It's called Coartem, and that's treating almost 40 million children per year. Bear in mind, with malaria there are 250 million cases every year, and they're mostly in children, and they're mostly in children under 5. So ideally we'd like to get out 100, 200 million treatments. So the challenges going forward are to have new artemisinin combination therapies. So the drugs that we have at the moment contain a Chinese natural product and a partner drug, and we have new ones of those coming through. To have them specially formulated for children, remembering that if we have children who are under 2, they don't want to take these bitter medicines, and certainly if you don't formulate them for children, then the uptake isn't so good. And finally, the other problem is that in some parts of the world, particularly Cambodia, we have reports of resistance to the artemisinin. And that's going to always be a problem in infectious disease, that we always need the next generation of drugs. So we've done a lot of work with academic groups and with the pharmaceutical industry to try and find new compounds, so a new starting point for drug discovery. And that's fun because effectively we have to take those all the way through the registration process. Our challenges is always quality. To have good medicines. Bear in mind that we have two sorts of issues. One is poor quality generics, and that's a little bit what we've been talking about today. It's okay for people to copy the drugs as long as they do it to international standards, because at least then high quality drugs are getting out to people. What we have problems with is when we get poor quality copies. The other problem we get is price, that people in Africa can afford to pay maybe 20 cents, maybe 10 cents. Some of the generics actually are out there in what we call the premium market. And obviously we want to try and focus everybody on the real unmet medical need, which is children. If you look at the essential medicines list from the World Health Organization, which is the medicines that everybody should have access to, then most of them are actually off patent. And the malaria medicines largely fit into the group where either they're off patent or where the patent holders are not going to enforce the patents. So we don't have quite the same complexity that you get with HIV, where there are new medicines coming out which are patented, which have potential high-value markets in the West. Remember, with malaria, then in Europe and the US, it's an orphan disease. 1,000 people get malaria in Europe every year. So there's no high-value premium market. So it's all about how can you get the low-cost drugs out to as many people as possible. Well, I guess the challenge we have is how can we make the drugs ever cheaper? And what we're struggling with at the moment is that one of the major ingredients in terms of price is actually the active pharmaceutical ingredient. So if we can drop the price of the APIs from $1,000 to $500 a kilo, then that has a direct implication on the price. What's interesting is then the amount of know-how and the amount of, not necessarily patents, but just expertise that's been developed on how to make these intermediates. So it's interesting today, a lot of the discussion on intellectual property has been around patents. In our space, for manufacturing, a lot of the intellectual property is actually just know-how.